Hello guys, hello, welcome. How are you guys doing? Just giving you a couple of moments to join. Welcome, welcome. Hi, please say hi in chat. This is my first live, just so you guys know. So if I mess up anything on the tech side, I apologize, but hopefully not. Do let me know where you're calling in from. Hi, Amy. Hi guys. All right, welcome, welcome. Today we're going to be having a business conversation. We are going to be diving a little bit deeper into my personal story. Sending you guys lots of love too. Thank you. This is going to be a very different conversation compared to what you usually see me do. So today I'm going to talk to you about how I use spirituality, how I used energy practices specifically to build my company. Do let me know if you're joining. And hi guys from Chicago, Italy, Toronto. Love my global community. Please let me know if you're new to my channel, if you don't know who I am, or if you're one of the OGs, let me know too, just so I understand kind of like where we're starting off and how much of a background I need to give you about me. Somebody's asking, will I be saving this to view later? Yes, God willing. If I figure out how to save a life, which I think I will, I will try to save this for later. Yeah, we have some new people. All right. Cool. Somebody's saying, watching all of your videos and joining Thrive. So thank you for being on my live as well. There are some new people, there always are, so I'm just going to give you a little bit of a download on my background. So my name is Mariya, this you can probably tell from my profile. I am an entrepreneur, a CEO, and I'm very much into spirituality over the past 6 years. Since my awakening, I have been on a spiritual journey, and my life has really, really shifted. So there was the before Mariya and the after Mariya. Some of my videos on the channel are with the eyes closed. That's when I am full on channeling. That is where I am connecting to my higher self. Some of the videos on my channel I have with my eyes open, just like right now. This is also a light form of channeling usually, but those are usually not in-depth topics that I have to connect to the higher spheres to talk to you about. So in case you were wondering, just wanted to get this out of the way. Now, the purpose of this live is for me to tell you about how to bring together spirituality and business. This is something that I am passionate about. I've been a student over the past 6 years of how to bring the world of spirituality and all of the concepts that I have been downloading from my spirit guides and source, etc. How to bring that into this very material reality. Is that even possible? Is the woo-woo stuff too woo-woo, or can we actually use it to, call it whatever you want, like make things happen, achieve your dreams, etc. What I have found is that there is an extreme correlation in my life between when I became spiritual and when my business started climbing up and to the right, so it started really growing. And today my intention is to share some of the things that I have learned over my journey as an entrepreneur, but also as an awakened entrepreneur. So I have had the business that I'm running right now for over 10 years. In fact, if we include the first year we were in business, which I call the year of misery, I kid you not, that was the year of misery. That's like 11 plus years I've been running this company, and about 6 years since I've had my awakening, I had my channels open. Drastically very different experience, you guys, the before and the after. Somebody's asking, how did you become a 9-figure earner? Yeah, that's what this whole life is all about. So 9 figures, and just like, so we get it out of the way. Because I think 9 figures can mean, ironically, a lot of things to a lot of different people. What I mean is annual revenue, and of course in US dollars, right? So 9 figures is between 100 million and 999 something million. That's where my company's at every year. And I started it, I'm still the operational CEO, which you guys, I hope you give me some brownie points for being brave and being the CEO and even talking about woo-woo stuff online, but that's a whole other topic. So, I'm going to today, and kind of like the purpose of today is for me to share some of the hacks and some of the things and all of the things that I have been implementing over the past 6 years I will also share all of the failures and the things that did not work for me, because what I dislike is the form of inauthenticity where sometimes when people share from a place of like, oh, I'm making it, or like, hey, like things are really good, what I worry about is that I don't lose the side of the story for you guys, because it was not easy, especially prior to my awakening. It was damn hard. And the last thing I want is to perpetuate the story that it's always easy all the time. That's that. I don't really have the time to full on read the comments, but I'm seeing some of my girlies. And you know exactly who you are. Roxy, Amy, Kamala, love you, big hearts, and thank you for being here. My OGs. Okay, cool. Let me take you to the Mariya maybe 10 years ago, just so you understand how drastic the shift is. I've always perceived myself as an underdog. Since I was a little girl, I'm an immigrant in the United States. I've been living here for 17 years. But, you know, my post-immigration life hasn't been easy. And if there was one thing I've always done up until I really figured out how life works, was I was a sort of like warrior that would take things head on. And I would be like the absolute hardest working person you could imagine, a perfectionist. My mom taught me that at one point, because she was, you know, we don't take anything other than the top scores on exams, Mariya, because don't shame our family. Oh, by the way, you guys, speaking of my family, you see this bad boy, I've never really done a single video with like the full whiteboard, but I'm starting to, and I'm tapping into my teacher roots. Both of my parents are teachers, and so this is like very much, they would love this if they saw it, if they saw me, like me being like very cute, like playing teacher with a marker on the internet. That's really adorable. But the long story short is, when I started my business, I was very much in the hustler culture. I was very much in the let's work hard. If you work hard, eventually something is going to turn out. And then I was always used to doing it the hard way, is the net of this. So my growth and the growth of my business was very linear. I felt like for every single dollar, I had to fight for it. Every single day, I would, just get up and be actually really worried about how I'm going to make payroll, how I'm going to make the numbers that I promised to the investors. Now, we did take outside capital. And when I'm telling you my whole 9-figure story, one thing you need to know is I'm not the only owner in the business. I have partners. I also have investors in the business. We raised about $26 million. Last check I took was in 2018. Since then, we have been profitable and growing, so I didn't really have to take additional money. The reason I'm telling you all this is that you have color around my story. I didn't build this business from scratch, and I did use some of the, call it traditional metrics to grow this, or like traditional avenues. Fundraising was certainly one. However, let me tell you this. Prior to my awakening, things in my business were very linear. Like I said, I had to work really, really hard. I felt like I was making every mistake in the book. I was always stressed. I was trying to drink alcohol. Well, my husband would disagree that I was an alcoholic, because I don't think I was, because he was watching me throughout the entire thing. But I would drink a glass of wine a few times a week, not because it was fun for me, because that was the only way I knew how to relieve myself from stress. And there was a lot of stress, because once you take somebody else's money, which I did, and a lot of it, like there are probably 30 people on my cap table, meaning there are 30 different investors, funds, individuals that I took money from at one point, and they all expect returns. The problem with that was that it wasn't working for me. The company wasn't growing. And I realized that just trying hard was not enough. And, a part of my entrepreneurial journey was getting out of my own way. So now back to what did I do? And that's where I'm gonna get my marker and I'm gonna start writing things for you. So everything did start changing for me in 2018. Oh, you guys can't hear the voice? Is it frozen? Ooh, sorry, I'm like looking at the comments now. Please let me know if you can hear me, because that's kind of important. I definitely don't want you guys to miss out. And I think the internet connection should be stable. No sound. I can hear. Okay, some people can hear. Now it's all good. I don't know if it's my headphones. Okay. And there's definitely a delay. Okay, I'm back. All right. Disconnect and connect again. Okay, good. Thank you guys. When I get passionate in this house, stuff happens with the internet, stuff happens with like electric appliances, and so I'm not surprised. Isn't that nut? All right. The first thing that made a difference for me was when I actually started dissecting the concept of flow. Everybody and their mother in the spiritual community talks about the concept of flow. I feel like as people, we have been, I think we've been completely desensitized, and like we can't even fully internalize. Like it's like some ephemeral concept that like the people who are happy-go-lucky feel sometimes. Like we're not even sure what that fully means, I think, for a lot of us. When I started diving with my guides around how to start growing my company, because the moment my spirit guides came through, they're like, Mariya, we're gonna grow this baby, like don't you worry, and we're gonna show you exactly how. And so I went from linear to magical. What does that mean? I went from things being very hard, me feeling like I was working, way more than 12-hour days. I want to say 16-hour days, because the only thing I was doing at the time was like working, commuting, because I was New York City on the subway, which was not a long commute, thankfully. Eating and going to sleep, and then waking up and doing it all over again, and like barely any weekends. So like that was my life. And if anybody tells you that the hustle is not real and like it's so easy to build a company, that was not true for me in the first 6 years of my life. That is why what I'm experiencing right now is such a dramatic change. And again, like the way I got here is pure spirituality. Like I went from very hard to seamless, and I dare say easy, because of energy and energy practices and how energy works. And the first thing that I started dissecting was this concept of flow. So there are actually, not all flow is created equal. In fact, there are two flows. And for this, I almost like want to read your comments, because probably nobody's ever heard of it. There are two types of flow. There is the inner flow and the outer flow. And I'm literally going to start writing things for you guys. And let me know if you can see what I'm writing, because again, first time using a whiteboard type of situation, the easel. Cool. Yeah, I'm glad that you guys can hear me. That's really, really important, because it would be pretty sad if you couldn't. So inner flow is one, and then outer flow. So that's where I started. I'm gonna explain exactly what this is. It's backwards. Oh no. Gosh. Reverse writing. Okay. You know what? That's how you guys know it's the first time of me doing this. Let me see. Okay, can you see me now? No, terrible. No. Writing backwards. Sergey, do you mind helping me? I honestly don't know how to deal with this. I feel like I'm showing you guys the wrong stuff. This is a complete fiasco, but you guys just saw my living room. You know what? Maybe I forget that there is an easel. I truly don't know why it's showing everything backwards, because as I was reading things online about this, it was not supposed to be backwards. But it is what it is. So yeah, Sergey, if you can help me figure this out, that would be great. If not, there's going to be no whiteboard today. Okay, anyway, I'm talking to my husband. Reverse the camera is not so easy, guys. I tried doing it. Anyway, let me get back to the flow. There are two types of flow, the inner flow and the outer flow. The inner flow, and let me actually take a step back. There are two types of energy, even before I go into flow. The first energy is stuck in the universe. The other energy is moving. If you want to be successful in life, if you want to be happy in life, if you want to do, like, if you want any of the positive things, you want the energy that's moving. The energy that's stuck is not good for you, ever. So when we talk about the inner flow and the outer flow, there's energy inside it. The inner flow is essentially, how does the energy move in your body? And is the energy moving in your body? If the energy is stuck in your body, it's bad news. The energy can be stuck in your body, or can be blocked in your body, or can just be slow moving in your body. In if you have a lot of trauma that is unprocessed in your vessel. B, if you're experiencing the negative emotions and thought frequencies. All of that are forms of energy that is not in the flow, if that makes sense. So that's one. Two, the outer flow, which is what most people talk about when they talk about flow, is kind of like the active dynamic energy of the universe. The active and dynamic energy of the universe is the energy in a state where you can build things from. It's almost like if the energy was moving and all these moving building blocks that you could take, appropriate, and build your world with, if they were floating around you and you could just, and they were all up for grabs, that is kind of what flow is, if that makes sense. When you are trying to move from stuck in life to growing, or from like stressed and frustrated to thriving, the number one thing you need to fix is flow. And you start with the inner flow because the two are interconnected. And next time I'm going to figure out how to do this, guys. But for now, please bear with the inverted version. There is the inner flow and the outer flow. It's almost like the flow within, the energy within, responds to the energy without. So your inner flow is always communicating to the outer flow. Always. Cannot be any other way. So in other words, if inside of you there's a lot of unprocessed trauma, and if inside of you you're running a lot of negativity, things like with a minus sign, you know, anything from I'm not good enough, or like things like things are never gonna get better, like all of the negativity, you know exactly what it is. Then the outside flow is gonna do something really, really interesting. And that's like the big like takeaway around how flow works, hopefully. If you guys have good visualization powers, which a lot of you do, because I know a lot of you are meditating. If you want to imagine this, imagine yourself standing and then this river kind of like coming through you, because the flow is kind of like a river. There are two things this river can do. The river can either go through you, which is actually good news, or the river can go around you. So if your inner flow, meaning your state, the state that you're in, is negativity, or the state that you're in is trauma, right? So in other words, you're not vibrating properly or vibrating on the positive spectrum. Then what's gonna happen, instead of going through you, this river is gonna go around you. What the problem with that is that you almost become invisible to the larger flow of the universe. Why do you need this outer flow? Because inner flow is actually linear. That is where, you know, all of us are trying hard. That's when we're working crazy hours. That's when we're investing this much time, money, and effort, and we're not getting all of that much back. It's like when we're trying and we're in the game, it's only with ourselves, right? Like the universe is not helping us. The outer flow is where the magic is at. Whether you call it God, universe, world, it's like this bigger force that's like trillion times bigger than your little spark of consciousness that you brought. In life, it's very hard to operate from just like your own resource. And this is what I was doing for the first 6 years of my business. You know, I was using my degree, I was using my energy, I was using my powers of conviction, I was using whatever else I had, but it was all condensed to just me, my container, what Mariya was capable of. That's why things were hard. And I mean like really hard. I feel like I was, again, like there was a reason like I would go back home every evening. I'm like, I need some wine, man. This has been really tough. And then once you actually figure out how to work with the outer flow, the flow of the universe, once you figure out how it operates, once you figure out how to harness it, things become exponential, they become easy, and they become inexplicable. Meaning, an example of like stuff that's happening to me right now would be, like say like we acquired a company 2 years ago. As we were acquiring the company, I like saw things. Like I saw that, you know, and call it a vision, you can call it a premonition, like it doesn't really matter. I just saw that it's gonna be on Amazon. Like I had to get it on Amazon. I knew I had to get it into Walmart. I knew I had to get it into Target. I saw, this hasn't happened yet, but I also saw a partnership with one of the ride-sharing companies, like Uber or Lyft. Maybe that's going to happen soon. But that's the only thing that hasn't come true. By the way, so when we acquired the company, what ended up happening was I wasn't really, like, we weren't pushing too much. In fact, what happened was like all of these companies started reaching out to us. Like Walmart called us, Target, you know, we barely pitched them. So they all kind of wanted us. And that's the difference between you pushing and you being in your inner flow and just you harnessing the outer flow. I hope this makes sense. You know what, let me stop here because sometimes I get very esoteric and I don't want to lose you guys. Can you just let me know in the comments if this makes sense so far so I can move on to other things? And especially since my slide is backwards, I cannot even give you the visual props that I was hoping to get you. Okay, yes, it feels like you're with me. Totally makes sense. Thank you guys. Thank you for the positive reinforcement, love it. Yes, great, okay, cool. All right, okay, so way you unlock magic in life, way you unlock the ease, way you unlock flow, is when you start emanating from a vibration that the flow doesn't go around you, it goes through you. Here's why. When the flow goes around you, it's almost like you're invisible to the flow. It's almost like you're this dark cloud and the flow is just like, ooh, whoever has time for dark clouds, and it just bypasses you. If you start vibrating at a more, call it positive or elevated frequency, all of a sudden you become visible to the world, to the universe, and you become helpable. And so when it starts flowing through you, here's what happens. The universe cannot, if universe was a collective consciousness of all living energy, right, as a flow, like, and for that massive flow of energy, anything is possible, truly anything, because it's like the force of God, anything is possible. If it flows through you, it stops differentiating between itself and you. To the universe, to the flow, you're part of it. You become one with it. What does that mean? It means that every single desire of yours becomes a desire of the universe. And that's when you get to stop working crazy hours. That's when you get to stop obsessing and start stressing out. And really your only job from there is to know what you want, because the flow is not going to decide for you. The universe is not going to tell you what you want. That's one. Two, maintain the state. That's really, really, really important. You have to maintain the state. Meaning, if you're starting to vibrate at a high frequency, or call it positive, if you start vibrating with a plus sign instead of with a minus sign, that's not a one and done type of thing. It's a practice. It's a thing that you're going to have to do over and over and over again. In other words, if today I'm operating from a positive perspective, I'm in the flow. But tomorrow, if something throws me off, and then for the next 7 days, I'm off the screen and off the map, the universe was only helping me for 1 day out of the week. Does that make sense? So staying in the flow is actually a daily practice. But it doesn't mean that it's a chore, and it doesn't mean that it's hard. Okay. I love it, guys, sorry. My business has just experienced some incredible outer flow. Yes, so that's the thing. When the outer flow, when you're aligned with the outer flow, things just happen for you. And like ultimately, right? So if we think about abundance, if we think about thriving, it's very hard to thrive just using the masculine energies alone, which is what I used to do, and which is like the whole hustle culture is all about, is to just keep pushing, fill up your calendar with all these crazy meetings, like pitch, like sell, like whatever the things that people do in business. That's all masculine energies. What we unlock through working with the flow, both the inner and the outer, because both of these are actually the energies of water, if you think about it, and both are feminine. So once you unlock those, things become exponentially easy, because they become magnetic, not just electric. Electric is you going like electricity out to get things. I'm not saying, by the way, we don't need one or the other. In fact, when you have a hybrid, that's the best possible case scenario. Sorry you guys, you're gonna have to look at my short words that are inverted. I'm gonna give you like 3 more and then I'm gonna stop writing, because outside of the inner flow and the outer flow, there are like a few other things I wanted to talk to you about. So this one is vision. There is vision. There's faith. And then there's capacity. Hopefully you can read my scribbles that are also inverted. So these are kind of like the 5 keys that are really, really important. That's why I kind of like just wanted to have them on the board. And everybody's like worried if I'm gonna save this live. I am gonna save this live, as discombobulating as it is. Yes, cool. All right, so once I unlocked the inner flow and the outer flow, I had to take care of 3 more things. So essentially my entire blueprint is probably this one very, very quick slide. Vision is what I already mentioned. Vision is essentially what you want for yourself. What are you committed to? In order for the flow to be able to carry you exactly where you need to go, you need to have clarity around what it is that you want in life. In other words, if you just unlock the flow, but you don't have the vision, which is your masculine direction, you're gonna go into the very wrong place in life, or like you would go into a random place. By the way, vision, and I know a lot of people are doing vision boards. A lot of people, when you're doing vision boards, you're just focusing on a single year. That's not good enough for flow. You need to focus on like a 10-year vision at least, which I know is hard for some people because it's like, okay, well, I need to provide all of this clarity to the universe, but at least it's a curious exercise. So one thing I had to get really, really clear on was my personal vision for myself and my vision for my business as well, down to a T. Like, in other words, I've always known I'm building a $1 billion company plus, like a $1 billion plus company. Like the big B has always been in my field. And so for the universe, it's very easy, quote unquote, to carry me towards where I'm going because I provided extreme clarity. If I just said I want a big company, or I want, a growing company, that doesn't mean much to the universe, because one thing you want to do is remove all of the question marks and all of the things that the universe has to decipher for itself. So the more clear you can get on your vision, the better the flow can carry you towards where you're going. This one is faith, very important. In no particular order, by the way. These are kind of like in random order. Faith and capacity are very much intertwined. Faith is, do you believe that what you want for yourself is even possible for you? I had to do a lot of work on this one. Just even believing, as an underdog. Remember, that was like my core archetype. The underdog, what does the underdog believe? The underdog believes I'm not good enough. It's really hard for me. I will never be recognized. All of these things, right? Like that's what the little me believed. That's what the teenage me believed. That's what the 20-year-old me believed. And so I had to climb out of like, things are hard mentality and like standing there with a sword swinging every day. I had to get into a state of complete faith that my vision is for real. Like, in other words, it's inevitable. However long it's gonna take, I'm gonna get there. And I have patience, right? And cultivated patience rather, because I'm not a very patient human being. I don't know if you can tell from my fiery personality, but I'm not all that patient. Working on it, work in progress. But faith was very, very big. Faith is actually a very feminine energy also, because it comes from the heart. It's like the heart of a true believer. And the more you expand your heart capabilities, your faith expands. So in other words, your vision cannot be a pie in the sky that you yourself don't believe. Your vision cannot be something that you're denying yourself. There is a whole lot of work that you're gonna have to do in order to embrace your vision and to know, you know what, it's real. It's gonna happen for me. And this fifth one is really, really important. And this is what I probably struggled with the most. Inner flow and capacity, I struggled with the most. What is capacity? Is essentially your ability to receive and take things that the universe is giving you. I like to use this analogy of a container, right? So like if this is my container for receiving, my capacity of my light bodies to receive abundance is like this cup. But what I'm asking in my vision is a bathtub. There's no way that the universe is going to be able to give it to me because it's going to start spilling over. And the universe is going to give me, but I'm not going to be able to hold on to it. Right? And so in order for you to even witness all the things on your vision board, especially if they're big, right? Witness for them coming to life, your capacity of all of your bodies, by the way, so it's the capacity of your physical body to withstand your vision, the capacity of your energy body to withstand your vision, the capacity of your emotional body to withstand your vision, and the capacity of your mental body to withstand your vision. So you have to increase all of these capacities. This is something that I worked so hard on with my guides. And I had like, essentially what happened with capacity was kind of interesting. So what year was that? Not quite 18. I want to say it was like 2019, 2019, I think it was, maybe 2020. We were flat. So the business was flat. It wasn't growing. And I tried everything under the sun to fix it, to change it. I changed the team. I changed strategy. I came up with all this new business directions. Like, okay, I'm like, we're going to expand away from this industry into that industry and that industry. And I thought I was doing great. And I was making a whole lot of moves, but the business was still flat. So what I was getting was I was working even harder. And by the way, you guys remember, I already was a hard worker. And I felt completely stuck and powerless, because if you're like, I feel I'm already working hard, like what else do you want from me, universe? Like I'm taking my masculine energies and I'm bringing 100% of all I got and nothing. And in fact, I'm like, I don't know, like I may be flat, but I'm starting to feel like it's going to start declining. Because like the road from like a flat business to a declining business, it's a very slippery slope. And once the business starts declining, it's a law of diminishing returns. And it's really hard to actually salvage a company that's going downhill. And that's in distress. And so I was like, oh my God, I'm like 2 steps away from this. Like, I feel like I could fail this, which was like a very, very real possibility. And that's when my guides started working on my capacity. I think as entrepreneurs, and in general, but by the way, not even entrepreneurs, it's this point is relevant to anyone. I don't think we give the credit to how much we impact our earning, or rather we are, like for instance, as an entrepreneur, I didn't realize how much me there was in my business, because, it's a company, it's a legal entity with all of these investors, hundreds of thousands of customers, right? And hundreds of people, of employees, right? Like it's a big team is what I'm saying, like, or just like a lot of people involved. As a founder, which, I'm a founder of my company, I never really understood how much of me, my personal energy and my personal blocks were in my company. I was like, no, but it's a separate entity for me. It has a nice business model. It helps people. It solves like a big issue. What I didn't realize that if I have a block for receiving money, if like this is the size of my container and my capacity, my business is going to have the exact same problem. Copy paste. Because your business is always a reflection of you. Your job is always a reflection of you. How people treat you in your workplace, in your business, is always a reflection of the pain that's inside. And so essentially what ended up happening is at the time I reached the very top of my capacity. And that's what a lot of people call the earning ceiling. Like the ceiling that you just cannot move up. Can't move up. When you start trying to solve this problem from a logical perspective, you can't. And that's why a lot of people actually at the stage that I was at, they start running out of energy to keep carrying on. If you have people, with failing businesses, if you know people in your network, or if you yourself maybe experienced like losing a business at one point, or just like if you were watching somebody else, whose company was growing, then it was flat and started declining. What happens to a lot of people with the declining companies is they would reach the ceiling, like the entrepreneur or the CEO running that business would reach their personal ceiling. And because they don't know that they reached it, they start working harder and they try more things and, throw like money at the problem sometimes, like let's get more investment dollars. The thing is, eventually they run out of resources, they run out of steam. Like it's so hard when nothing is working. And that's when they start getting into that decline mode, and it's really hard to get out of that. If only people knew that in order to get out of that mess, all you need to do is increase the size of your container. I think like there'd be like way more millionaires and even billionaires on this planet. And yeah, life would be a lot easier. So essentially, my guides took me through rigorous processes to increase my capacity, to receive and not just receive, hold. Because really, my glass is not receiving any water right now, but it's holding my water that I'm drinking, right? And if you don't want your money to slip away through your fingers, which is what a lot of people are experiencing, you need a container that's not leaking, etherically, the money container, and you need it to be the capacity that is correlated to your vision. If your vision says 1 billion or whatever, call it 1 million. I know 1 billion is probably like a crazy number for a lot of you. But even if it's 1 million, but your capacity to receive is 200,000, you're going to break your back trying to get to 1 million. You'll never get there. Never. It's like impossible. It's like the law of physics, kind of, right? Because like energy is invisible, but doesn't make it not real. Here's the problem with expanding the container. Because like technically expanding the container is a very simple practice where essentially first you get into the zone and you look at the size of your container. Usually the size of your container is very closely correlated to how much money you're making right now, or your comfort level, like what maybe the most money you've made in the year. That would be like usually the capacity of your container. If you want more, essentially in a meditative state, you would increase it 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x. Where this becomes challenging, and which is why sometimes this is not like very often, increasing your capacity is not a 3-minute exercise, is because you have all of this resistance coming up. And that is why you had a ceiling in the first place. And what do I mean by resistance? For a lot of us, we carry all of this trauma that has to do with money, with wealth, with success. We carry it from past lives. We also carry it from our lineage. So on my way to increasing capacity, one thing that I had to do was face all of the trauma from my ancestors around money. And there was a lot of shame, actually, with my ancestry line around being poor. There was also a similar type of negative, like the similar amount of negative emotions going way back, like many generations back, around having more than others as well. So there was shame on both sides and guilt on both sides. So in other words, and that's what a lot of lineages actually experience. It's like not okay to be poor because you never want to be homeless. And there's so much shame associated with like homelessness in just like in people's light bodies. But at the same time, it's not okay to have more. Because there's all of this conditioning that money comes from the devil and money is evil and money is going to make you like an evil person, all of that I had to overcome. So this process of increasing my capacity was funny, but not funny. Because my guides were pushing me to increase. The first time they challenged me to increase that container, it was like 5 times. They're like, okay, we're going to grow your company by 5 times. Can you handle it? I'm like, well, show me what's in the way. And it was like an avalanche of all of these, I don't even know, dirt, debris, stuck things from my lineage around how it's not okay to be rich, how it's not okay to be wealthy, because all of these things could happen. Like there were I had a lot of ancestors who were either killed for money or, taken advantage of. And, it's a thing. There's all of this pain. Like you don't want to be, for the longest time, I did not want to be seen for someone that has money, because I'm like, oh, somebody's going to come for me. The moment people find out, somebody's going to come for me, or they're going to be jealous, or they're going to be so sad that they're not there. And like, I was repelling money so much, but just like all of the things that were in my auric field. So essentially the process of increasing capacity is the process of facing your shadow and understanding all of the things that are in the way. And understanding all of the things that are, like, as you're trying to push forward, they're pulling you back, because, it's all of these little stories. And by the way, a lot of these stories are so much in our subconscious, we don't even know that we're running them. If you ask me, like, Mariya, are you aware of, all of these things that you're running in the background around, like, money? I tell you, no, what do you mean? I'm so focused on my business. I believe in my vision. I'm going for it full force. I'm not sitting here thinking that my ancestors at one point, like, lost their house at all. Like, and and when I mean ancestors, I mean like 5 generations ago. Like, I don't mean my grandparents, like the people they essentially have never met, right? And like, there's so much impact that they, all of these familial patterns still have on us. So capacity though was like the greatest unlock. Once I was able to face all of the shadows, once I was able to see all of the reasons why I was repelling money, I was able to increase my container, because there were no more barriers and there was no more resistance. And from there, it's just very seamless and easy. And once I did, the money just started pouring in, like not overnight, but within a month. And since 2021, we've been growing every month. Like every month is like a month up, pretty much. And like the before and after, like it was like before increasing my capacity and my container to receive, and after. Like this is like the one godsend. Okay guys, let me know how this is landing, because I have way more stuff for you. And how can we check our barriers? How can you check your barriers? Like I said, at face value, your barrier, or like your capacity, is how much money you're making right now. Here's what it is, actually. There is I just thought of how you can check. There is the amount of money that feels comfortable in your physical body, and then there is the amount of money that's going to give you the discomfort. For instance, if you close your eyes right now and you thought about the money that you're making on a yearly or a monthly basis, like think about like an annual salary, for instance. If you close your eyes and you think about how much money you're making, and just notice how your body feels. For most of you, it's going to be like, I feel fine. Yeah, that's the money that I'm making. Like, I feel fine. I feel comfortable with that amount. Like, it's coming through. There's no problem. There's no discomfort. There's no pain anywhere. If I ask you to imagine that now you need to make 10 times more. Like, you have to make 10 times more money. Notice in your body what the contraction is. Because there's definitely going to be like that discomfort. Oh my God, how am I going to make 10 times more? It's just crazy. Essentially that's how you, like, if your body is reacting negatively, or like there is a little bit of tension in the stomach or somewhere, like it feels like, oh my God, this amount is uncomfortable for me. I don't know how to like make 10 times more like tomorrow. That's how you know your body is uncomfortable, and in fact you're repelling the money. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, somebody's heart contracted. Yeah, absolutely. Somebody's asking how to do shadow work around money. How you do shadow work around money is how you do shadow work around anything else. It's not really all that different. The first thing you need to do is you need to figure out, well, usually with shadow work though, you need to get triggered first, right? Because shadow work is a process of finding parts within you that are not on board with where you're going. With money, you could actually watch the discomfort in your body first. So I'll quickly do that, because and then we're going to go into the 9 steps that I promised you guys. Hopefully you have a little bit of time. How you do shadow work is essentially in your body, the part of you that was just experiencing the discomfort, whether that was in your heart, in your belly, in my body was the belly. When I was thinking about 10 times more than I'm making right now. That pain is usually a sign that there is a part of you in there that is not in agreement with that amount of money. So you would focus on that part of your body. You would imagine that almost like there's like a being that's in the part of your body that is causing you discomfort. It could be a being, it could be a shape, it could be a color, it could be a frequency of some sort, right? Like, in other words, you would just place that in front of you and observe it. From there, essentially it's talking to this part. Because it's a part of you, it's not as hard as to hear like a spirit guide or like your higher self or whatnot, because it's in your exact vicinity. So you would, look at that part, and, and then from there, actually, there's like probably 60 different versions of how you can do parts work or shadow work. I'll just give you, I guess, a quick one that I used to do. So this part of you, first you want to, you can ask it questions. You can be, hey, what kind of part are you? Like, and by the way, you can sometimes tell if they're male, female, but sometimes if it's an object, it's a little bit harder. But it's always nice to know how long you've had it and what were the circumstances, like why are they here? So the one thing that every single part knows is like, what's their purpose in your body? And very often they'll tell you like something along the lines of like, I'm trying to protect you. I want to make sure we don't die this lifetime, or, whatever. Like, they'll tell you the story of like what they're doing in your body. If you want to go in depth, you can do a little bit of a past life regression on this part to understand, when it came about, What was the circumstance? Who was trying to rob you or your family or whatnot? You know, whatever happened. But it's not really necessary. Like, you don't have to go to those great lengths. Usually a part that is resisting money believes that if you were to get that amount of dollars, it would somehow be detrimental to you. Like, it is trying to protect you from it. The quickest way that I found to remove that resistance is to share my most likely future with my part. The way that I do that is by taking them by the hand. So essentially, they're standing in front of me. I'm just like, I'm clasping their hand. Through that, I'm asking them to see my future. So the part is going to see my future. I'm not going to see my future. By the way, I don't even have to know what the future is. And it works like miracles. Like, this works every single time. When they touch you, what ends up happening is this part of yours becomes very much in touch and in tune with your most likely future. And they would see that most likely you're not being murdered for the money, or you're not losing your family over money. Like, they know that their greatest fear, the one thing that they're trying to protect you from, is not going to happen in this lifetime, because what are the odds? And usually they relax, like they visibly relax. They're like, oh, I didn't realize that what I'm protecting you from is not real. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think it is. And from there, they're asking me, essentially, right, as the person in charge, to give them something else to do, because every part of you wants to be helpful. And then from there, I'm telling them, okay, well, you know, maybe instead of protecting me from money, you can remind me that I have value or something, right? Or like I'm a great writer, or whatever I think could be helpful for me on my journey. Or you can just remind me that my life is a gift and I should be in gratitude. Like, just give them a task to do. And you would notice that that part is then like, oh, I can do that for you. Thank you for giving me a new task. And then essentially what I see visually is, if you are as a being, you're almost like this pillar of light, this part of you starts curling around you like a snake, and then it just integrates into the light being that you are, and that's it. And from there, you're recouping that energy, like that part of you that was blocked. Remember how I was telling you that this inner flow are all of the blocked parts of us? So the more shadow work you do, the more you become unblocked. So like the more stagnant energy inside of your body turns into an active resource you can use for manifestation, for making money, for becoming happy, for like just whatever. Honestly, it's like it becomes free energy that you can use for anything, to give to others, to give to loved ones. And from there, essentially, all of that energy that you just freed up from this part becomes yours to wield. And yeah, you do this, you know, a few times, and a lot of this blocked flow becomes unblocked. Cool. I'm glad you guys are resonating. You know, I have a second phone here for reading comments, but it's really hard to multitask. I'm learning a lot about myself today. On that note, okay, so I have 9 more things for you guys. Hopefully you're enjoying this. This is something that I originally wrote down. So these are just like kind of like bigger things and bigger concepts. By the way, this concept of inner flow and outer flow is probably in and of itself a 3-hour lecture. If you're curious to dive into those concepts, I'm teaching Thrive in 2 days. This Saturday, we're starting on the first day of Thrive. I know some of you on this live, you already signed up. I'm like stoked to see you. So before we get into the whole 9 steps of, you know, a little bit more of a breakdown of how I got to 9 figures, I'm just gonna really quickly tell you about Thrive, because Thrive is, if there's one program that I have created that's gonna change your life, it's Thrive. Like, seriously, guys. Like, if you're gonna be in it, it's gonna blow your mind. If you read my book, 72 Keys to Manifestation, what Thrive is that on steroids, and with me actually teaching the concepts. None of the concepts, or barely any of the concepts that I'm gonna be teaching during Thrive are even in the 72 Keys book. Because I wrote that one, I was writing that in 2020. It came out in 21. Since then, you guys, I mean, when I was writing it, I was not a 9-figure entrepreneur. And if you read like the little foreword to that book, I was an 8-figure person. So you will, like, you know, I'm not lying. Since then, I have essentially I've been downloading in the background an advanced version of that book, and another book that's called 22 Foundational Laws of the Matrix, which is the book that I'm channeling from The Architect. The reason I'm telling you all of this background info that you guys perhaps don't need is because a lot of this channeled material that I have been just downloading from Spirit over the past, call it 3-4 years, is gonna make it into the Thrive program. What that is, it's essentially 36 keys. So if you know my book, 72 Keys to Manifestation, you're familiar with my way of teaching of using keys. So essentially, I take this very complex journey that I have been on and very complex esoteric concepts, and I break them down into keys, like very bite-sized info that is very easy to comprehend and very easy to follow. And this is how I'm going to be teaching Thrive, the course about abundance, money, and manifestation. So over the 3 weekends, we're going to be essentially diving into each of the 36 keys that I believe can take you from any state to thriving. And a lot of what, like what you see here, this is kind of like just like the bare, like we're just starting to scrape the surface of what's going to be in Thrive. Thrive is a 3-day program. The first day is all about abundance. And that's where we talk about inner and outer flow. Like pretty much 10 keys out of the first 15 in the first day are all about how do you make sure you're flowing and how do you connect to the outer flow and like how do these energies work and like what do you need to do. So like it's an actual blueprint. If you have never been, if you've never had an experience of attending one of my workshops, I'm not just theoretical. I'm never just theoretical. What I am is very practical. So outside of just giving you the keys, what I'm going to do is a lot of healing on your body. Remember how I told you there's all of this resistance that I had even when I was increasing my capacity? This is the kind of work that my guides did for me. Is the kind of work that I'm going to do for you during Thrive. Because reading a book is good, or like just like conceptually understanding the key is good. But unless you remove all of the distortions from your body, it's really, really hard to embody something. And so my job as, call it a coach, or whomever you want to call me, a channel, my job during Thrive is to release all of that resistance from out of your body. And because I'm an intuitive and because I'm, at this point, I guess a psychic, although I hate that word, it's very easy for me to read the energy of the collective. And so I would know exactly every single person that came into my field. What is your problem? What are the things that are stopping you the most? And I'm going to cater the practical, experiences I'm going to have, the meditations, the healing, the light language to the group that I have. And because of that, it's going to be extremely impactful. So I'm confident that this is the best thing I have created. It's also going to feel like a quest or a game. So I'm like stoked. We're starting in 2 days. You can still get tickets. Sergey, if you're on there, if you don't mind dropping like a little link for people where they can check out more information about Thrive. Yeah, somebody's like, what can I sign up for Thrive? On my website, this is Mariya.com, there is a whole section for Thrive. And I don't know, we can pin this, right? Can I pin? I'm like, no, I don't think I can pin that comment. Sergey, maybe you're gonna have to add it a couple of times because I'm not sure I know how to pin it. Yeah, and Sergey's saying you can also find the link in bio. By the way, we have, for my folks in the US, for my folks in Canada, I believe, Australia and New Zealand, we have payment plans through Klarna and AutoPay. And through PayPal too. Unfortunately, it doesn't really work for my folks in Europe. So one step at a time. Yes, the Thrive course that I teach is online. It's on Zoom. It's going to be recorded. And by the way, the recording for this one is going to be paramount because you guys are most likely going to be going back to the recording over and over and over again to make sure that some of the concepts really sink in. Because what I'm going to be transmitting is codes. Codes are very interesting. They're like, you can only take according to your capacity during that moment, but you would notice that over time, if you go back to the same recording, to the same video, to the same practices, it's like the new level drops in. And, things that are usually charged or channeled or like that, like you can re-listen to the same piece of content over and over and over again and it hits different every single time. And like, you're like, oh my God, I didn't hear that. Like I watched this 10 times, but like, I don't remember her saying that. It's because your capacity to receive also increases. And I fully expect you to go back to the video. So this is not like a one and done 3 weekends. This is like a curriculum that you're buying that's going to be with you for years. And so the second day of Thrive is all about money. And I would go as far as saying it's not just about money, but it's also about wealth creation. And it's a big difference, because my intention here, and you guys know, like my dharma in life is spirituality. Like the spirituality and like opening up this whole world of magic and unknown to the people is what I'm here to do for you. And for me, what's important is that like becoming rich in the moment, like getting rich quickly and then losing that's not my intention for you. My intention is to build your foundations in a way that every single year for the rest of your life, you are becoming, you're starting to thrive more and more. You're making more and more money. And that is where wealth accumulation really happens. That's why you would, accumulate the type of wealth that you can share with your children and the grandchildren. Because it's not like the get rich quick type of situation. That's not what I do. It's not to say that some of you are not going to get quick wins, because you will. What I'm saying is the stuff that I teach is very foundational, and it's going to rewire you entirely. Like it's going to rewire your entire aura. And it's the gift that keeps on giving, because every single year, the same concepts that you keep practicing are going to make you better and better, better. So it's like a thing that is exponential over time. And that's what's so exciting about it. So again, Thrive, 3 weekends in January. There's also going to be some audio files that you're going to receive, like almost like transmissions and meditations afterwards. And I honestly can't wait. Okay. Let me know if there are any questions around Thrive. How much is it, please? $888 for the entire curriculum and lifetime access. I'm never going to remove that access for you. Usually when I do my courses, everything is, by the way, divinely guided, always for me, like in terms of pricing. I would never price my course without contacting my spirit guides. Because energy exchange is very important to me, and I would never take anything from anyone. Usually, I look at like 10x. Like if I can deliver 10x more value to the people, I did good. For this one, 100x is like probably the minimum that you're gonna get back. Granted, right? Of course, because we're all adults here. If you come with an intention to receive, and if you actually pay attention. Right? Like, and do the practices. Like I cannot just spoon feed you. I can teach you how to catch the fish. I cannot do the fishing for you. All right. Will the price increase? No, it's going to stay $888. Sometimes I've been known to, you guys, I've been known to increase prices once something is available on the recording though. So, for this time, it's not going to increase. But if you miss the boat and then you want to get the recording, I may increase the price. And the reason being, is it always comes out better than I originally expected, and then I feel like it's underpriced. You guys, I know it's stupid, but like every single course I've increased the price since I, once I actually dropped the recording. So that's what I'm saying. It may increase afterwards. Somebody's asking. Okay. I lost, you guys, I feel like I'm committing every crime of technology today. Okay, we're back to comments, because I lost your comment section and now it's back. What is the timing? It starts 11 a.m. Eastern. 11 a.m. Eastern on a Saturday, this Saturday. And we're gonna go for the entire day. If you know me, if you've been with me, I try to get it done in like 4 hours, but I've been channeling a lot and I've been preparing the deck for this. And you guys, like, it's long. We're going to take ample breaks, but this is going to be a lot of information and a lot of practices. It's probably going to be a full day. And of course there's going to be a recording. So if you need to go and take care of some matters, don't worry about missing anything, because just the fact that you buy the ticket, you already are in my field, and I'm probably going to be receiving messages about you in my sleep, and my guys are going to wake me up at 3 a.m. and they're like, this person needs this, Mariya. It's the entire thing. All day with Mariya. Yes, Amy. How wonderful. Not just 1, 3 weekends, which is like, it's really, when I transfer codes, and that's I think with a lot of spiritual teachers, like we transfer more than the actual knowledge. It's like what you receive is like an energy boost as well, right? It's like being in somebody's field, you essentially become a little bit like them. Yes, somebody's asking like, is the clearing going to be done after? No, the clearing is going to be done live and online. Like this is essentially like you just show up as you are. And then, you come into my big virtual embrace and, we work together as a team and as a group, and we're going to release live essentially as we're going through the ebbs and flows. And we're going to do a lot of diagnostics too. Like you're going to look at, where you are right now. You're going to look at like your relationship to abundance. You're going to look at all the things. Yes. Okay. I have more stuff to tell you guys. I hope that this is helpful. So initially I was just going to give you the 9 steps of how I built my company. We'll see if I'm going to start skipping some, but step 1. In other words, if I were to do this over again, this is what I would do. Step 1 is state. I would optimize my state. What do I mean by that? Remember how I told you this inner flow is really like, it's what's going on internally. So in order for you to become helpable, in order for the universe to even want to help you, you have to vibrate at a particular frequency where you become recognizable to the flow. State is everything in this game. What most people feel in life are fear, worry, stress. All of these things throw you out of the state of flow. So the number one thing I feel that not just helped me get to where I am, but helps me maintain where I am, is that I have learned to cultivate the state that enables me to perpetually stay aligned with the outer flow. Like I'm not dropping out anymore, or hardly ever do I drop out. Like maybe 1% of the time, I'm not connected to the outer flow of my life. I think when I started, it was the reverse. I think 99% of my life I was not connected to the universe. Now, what does this mean? Because like saying manage your state is very easy. What does this mean? It means you need to regulate your nervous system down. Essentially what we're looking for is the state of calm, peace, and tranquility. The best way that I have found to get there is daily meditation. Meditation is something that took me from hyper, anxious, stressed, needing alcohol, to not needing any of that. And by the way, this is something that you're going to have to do for yourself every day. So state is not something you can do on a Sunday or a Saturday and forget for the rest of the week. But here's the thing. In order to be at the, in order to manage your state, you don't need 3 hours a day. You probably need like 10 to 15 minutes of the right types of practices. The state is best in the morning, like state exercises, whatever you do is usually best in the morning. Because if you set yourself up for the right day, every single action, every single feeling, every single thought that is going to emanate from you is already going to be emanating from a place of peace and calm. And that means that the universe is going to be on your side for the duration of that day. If you meditate in the evening or in the middle of the day or whatever else you do to regulate, by the way, meditation is not the only one. We're going to get into what other things you can do. It's like the whole day you lived in the stress, then you meditated before going to bed, and then you sleep. And yes, I guess we meditate and track things as we sleep, but it's not the same thing as living the entire day actively in a state of flow. So state is the number one thing that I obsess over. And I notice the calmer I am, the more things come to me. The calmer I am, the more magnetic I am, right? So that's 1. 2. The second step is radical acceptance. So if I had to do this all over again, knowing what I know now, I would have this mantra for myself of radical acceptance. Just give me 1 second. What do I mean by radical acceptance? When you start interacting with this outer flow, the outer flow, like this universal energy, is going to bring things to you. And it's going to bring things to you that are positive, and it's going to bring things to you that are negative, and it's going to bring the everything in between. And if you start cherry picking, or if you start, essentially closing down and saying, whoa, I like this, but I dislike that. Don't give me that nasty thing. you start closing yourself out from that outer flow. I don't remember the exact quote of my spirit guides. It is in the deck for Thrive, but it's something along the lines of nobody likes to get rejected, even the universe. Something along those lines. So essentially when flow brings something to you and you're like, ooh, this is nasty, I don't want that, why did this happen to me? You're in the mode of rejection. I'll give you a few examples of what this means and how much in radical acceptance of what is I am. I have had a lot of things happen to me over the past 3 years that at face value looked negative or they felt negative. Couple of examples, and by the way, if you've been following my posts, you know exactly the kind of weirdness I've been through. But like my engagement ring got stolen from a hotel room. That broke my heart, you guys, because I love my husband. He's watching this. And when somebody gives you a gift that like means the world to you because they're proposing, and like when he also proposed, it was like in Sacred Valley of Peru, and I'll never forget that. And then somebody just like takes the ring, and by the way, like I even knew who took the ring because there's one cleaning lady, like nobody else could have possibly done it. But like, at the time I could have said like, oh my God, this is it. Like they took something that has the biggest sentimental value for me in my life. This is a bad thing. Why did this happen to me? Am I a bad person? Am I attracting bad things? The thing is, it was a test. And I had to accept it. I had to be like, you know what? I get it. The universe had to take my ring. I don't know why, but I'm in acceptance, radical acceptance of the fact that this is fine somehow. So the universe can have my ring. Second example, our house got flooded in 2021. Yes, 2021, September, Hurricane Ian. Southwest of Florida, love. The entire first floor got flooded. We had to leave the house for almost like 5 months because they had to redo the entire first floor. Like everything was a big mess. You guys, our new Tesla drowned. It was so crazy. We waited for this Tesla for like a year. We were in line to get this Tesla thing. I don't remember, my husband knows exactly which model. It was like this fancy 7-seater, whatever. We drove it for 1 month and then the hurricane hits and it drowns completely. And I'm like, oh my God, man, why? And then of course the house, and it's like all of the expenses and everything. Like the entire first floor furniture was no good. Like all of my couches, everything. So again, example of the universe taking so much material things from me. And I was like, fine, I'm in radical acceptance that this is fine. It is what it is. Third was when I had my inopportune coming out, when my investors and my employees found out that I had a spiritual account and I was channeling all of these things and all of the nasty, videos were made about me on YouTube. That was like probably my biggest fear because I was so sure I was just going to be, I was going to lose it all. And in that moment, I still had to be in radical acceptance of what is. And this is something that I think is very hard to fathom for a lot of people. So instead of going on this journey of like, what did I do wrong? I was leaning into everything that the universe wanted to do because I know, which is another step, which is the next step. I know that everything is positive in my life, even if it is disguised in a negative circumstance. And that's step 3 of if I was starting this all over again. This is what I would write in my own Bible to follow. This third step is called declaration. Declaration is when you declare every single thing in your life as a positive. Even if it's seemingly negative in the moment. The thing is, as human beings, we're very myopic. Like, it's very hard for us to see the forest from the trees. It's very hard for us to rise up 10,000 feet in the air. Even people like me with full-on spirit guide support 24/7. Because you guys, we're good at resisting even the best of guidance as humanity. And so with this concept of declaration, from now on, what I learned is if I declare that everything that happens in my life is a positive, no matter what happens is flow shifts me to a much more opportune timeline right away. And then there's another thing that my guides told me that I have been really, it really helps cope with things being taken away from you. But my guides told me, Mariya, if we take something from you, if the universe takes something from you, it's because we want to give you 10 times more back. You lost your ring, you're going to get 10 times more back. You lost your Tesla, you're going to get 10 times more back, etc., etc. And when I looked at the world from that perspective, I was like, take, please. I trust, I believe, I have faith. You guys can take as much as you want. I'm willing to lose, right? And again, so like radical acceptance of what is, instead of resisting, fighting, crying, being like, hell no, give me my stuff back. I'm not okay with this. I do so much for the world. Why do you guys bombard me with like all of these bad things? None of that. It's radical acceptance of what is. And a declaration that everything that's happening is positive. Everything that's happening is happening for a reason, and trusting that I may not know why exactly in the moment, eventually I'm going to find out, right? So that's step 3. Yeah, step 4 is harnessing the power of flow, right? So again, all of these things help me make sure that I never really fall back into the old ways of like hustle and grind and too much masculinity. Flow is actually a part of like my journey with like both inner and outer flow, was me reclaiming my own femininity and me reclaiming my own feminine power. And when we work with the feminine energies, and by the way, during Thrive, there's like an entire section for feminine energies. Like we're going to look at the elements, we're going to look at the earth, we're going to look at the water, we're going to look at your relationship with the concept of void, we're going to look at your relationship with the concept of darkness, we're going to look at your relationship with the concept of death. All of these are feminine energies. There's a whole lot of collective resistance to femininity on this planet. Like death is a feminine energy. We're like, we'll take life, but we're going to repel death. No can do, right? Again, you cannot take the positive parts of the flow and not the negative parts of the flow. And by the way, you guys, they say they're going to give you 10x. I feel like they've given me 1000x of what they took. It's like ridiculous, like how the math works. At this point, I like stopped trying to figure out how the math works because it's exponential math and it makes no logical sense. Like my life makes no logical sense at this point. I'm just like sitting there and they're like, Target wants to increase the throughput, like, they want to put us in like 2,000 more stores like in 3 months. And I'm like, okay, like it's like literal. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to sit here, look pretty and like see what else the universe has for me. It's like literally like this. But harnessing the power of flow is very much working with the feminine energies. That means healing your relationship with your mother, healing your relationship with your inner femininity and your feminine traits. And finally allowing the little girl inside, or the little feminine inside, the female inside, to join the masculine and understand it like takes two to tango. Feminine cannot be in the back seat anymore. And especially if you came in the feminine body into this incarnation, we have to lead with what God gave us. God is Gaia, right? And there's definitely a way for us to reach that magical exponential, and where it lies is in the intuition, is in the trust, is in the surrender, is in the flow, which is all the feminine energies. So in other words, we can do business the old way, which is very masculine, which is very 1 + 1 = 2. I couldn't, at this point in my life, 1 + 1 = whatever the universe wants to make it today. And it's completely non-linear, and that's what's making it fun. Okay, step 5 is increasing my capacity and comfort levels. That is like the step 5 of how I would grow this all over again, if I were. Increasing capacity is not a one and done type of thing. For example, if I increase my capacity from 50 million to 250 million, and then I hit the $250 million mark, I'm gonna have to increase my capacity again by however many, X's that I need. 10x, 5x, whatever. In other words, increasing capacity is not one and done type of thing. It's something you're going to have to do continuously. And as you do it continuously, new shadows come up and more parts of you are not okay. Because at as you go up that ladder, there's going to be new challenges and new facets of yourself that are going to come online. So just expect that. Step 6 is constant shadow work. I know it does not sound fun, but it is kind of fun. At this point, like Sergey is my husband, we really love shadow work. I feel like he's doing shadow work 6 times a day. I don't know. I feel like I'm doing it 3 times a day. No, there's always more to integrate. When I say shadow work though, what would be like a good example to give you? Through this process, I became a much better boss. I would like to think. Now, there are some subjective ways to measure good boss. And then there are some objective ways to measure good boss. Not to jinx it, but my company has crazy high retention levels. Like, people just don't leave. And, you know, if you told me 6 years ago that that was possible, I'd be like, no way. Because my company was a revolving door. It was a revolving door. People couldn't stay. Because I was intense, you guys. If you think this is intense, this is a chill version of Mariya. So my version of intense, I'm just giving you an example of shadow work. There is like a method to this madness. We're getting somewhere. So the previous version of me was very hard on myself. Like, I had, since the very early childhood, very low self-esteem. And because of that, you know, I was an overachiever and a go-getter. Because I had like a crazy hard bar for myself, I had the same crazy high bar for my team. And I feel like at one point working with me was like walking on eggshells. Because people were like, is she gonna like it? Is she gonna lose it? I don't know. She's a little unstable. And that's literally what I feel like it was working with me 7 years ago, prior to my awakening. Because my way of like resolving things was through pushing, you know? And then I realized that there is actually just a part of me inside, like this low self-worth, like there is like that underdog is actually an archetype within. And I did shadow work on like all the layers of me that felt incompetent, that felt not good enough, that felt like they would never be good enough, that felt that they were lacking. And what I sensed and what I felt inside of my body was this huge release and relief. And like I could breathe again. I felt like I could breathe again. And it completely changed how I treated myself. And my inner critic disappeared. Pretty much disappeared. I mean, it was 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10, and now it's like 1 out of 10. Like, my inner critic lets me get away with anything. Like, my inner critic is like, Mariya, you want to sing? You want to be a recorded artist? No problem. Go for it. Like, it's like becoming a cheerleader. It's like ridiculous. My inner critic 7 years ago would have been like, hell no. Are you crazy? Go hide under a blanket and don't show your face. Like, that was like Mariya 7 years ago. The point of the story is that through shadow work, I was able to heal that part of me. And how my team now feels in my field is very different. Because I stopped berating myself and I stopped berating them. So now it's a safe space. It's okay to make mistakes. I'm like not obsessing over things. Like, I'm letting KPIs happen. I'm letting goals hit themselves, if that makes sense. And because of that, it's a lot easier to work with me because I'm not like barking at people anymore. And that's, seems like a very small thing, but shadow work is like this concept that is talked about all the time, but it's going to change your life. It's going to change how people feel about you. And it's really going to help you build the business that you want, because you're going to be able to retain the people that are amazing, and you're not going to have to scramble for talent all the time and like always have to rehire. The next step is, I love this. I love this so much. The 7th step is amazing. It's called aligned action versus busy work. Going back again to the flow. So when you are very much in your masculine, the only way your brain knows how to get somewhere is to do more. And the story that you tell yourself is always a little bit like, am I doing enough? I don't think I'm doing enough. I should be doing more. Let's do more here. Let's do more there. Let's do more there. Let's do more there. And so it's like always more. And I remember this like it was yesterday, where I was driving myself crazy by always having to do more. And my team was also, they had to be hard workers. Like, I wouldn't take anything else. I would call all of that busy work. And I would call it's almost like when you're so scared ultimately, that something is not going to work out, that you're trying to fill up your day to the brim with activity, that, and obviously, like, in your mind, you think that those are all legitimate shots, like that you're all, like, you're doing all the right stuff, but really it's your brain being worried that something is not going to work out. And so you try to over optimize with the overabundance of action. Everybody is really tired when that happens. By the way, most of these shots don't pan out, because when you're like randomly shooting and you're not even aiming, kind of like, you don't really hit the target all too often. And so you just like do a lot of actions that are not really the right type of actions. Also, going back to the state, if the state from which you're taking the action is a state of being worried, is a state of being uncertain, is a state of being afraid, etc., the actions you're going to be taking in that state are going to be the busy work actions that are not going to lead you to the best result. In other words, when you're in a suboptimal state and you're trying to overcompensate by just being busy all the time and working as hard as humanly possible, instead of moving through a path of least resistance, it's almost like you're picking the worst possible path. It's almost like if you were climbing, if you wanted to climb like a little mountain, you could take a shortcut, but instead of taking the shortcut, you're going in circles and you're never even reaching the pinnacle. That's kind of like what busy work felt. And of course, because when you're stressed and everything, you're not even tapping into the outer flow, so the universe is not even on your side. Every single time you push, there's only a little bit of progress. There's a little bit, it's like so minuscule that you're like, why am I trying so hard? But like the progress is like so minuscule. And so it feels like paradoxical, because like, don't they just tell you like work hard and it's going to work out for you? And I was like at one point was very lost in that paradox where more work did not result in more results. What I do today is aligned action. So I actually dropped a lot of the stuff that I was doing and cleared my calendar quite a lot. And now, instead of taking as many shots as possible, I take the right shots. Sometimes it means I take one meaningful shot a day at work. Like, I make one decision that's going to be pivotal a day instead of trying to make 17 and push everybody and just like, but I make it from the state of peace, calm, tranquility, from my feminine, and connected to my intuition and higher self and all of the guidance. And pretty much every single shot we shoot is a winner, instead of winning once every 300 times. And that is really the feminine way, if that makes sense, right? So instead of busy work and hustle culture, slow down. Slow down, give yourself a space. And this is not about being careful. It's not even about that. It's just like at this point, being so connected to the flow, I know exactly what the right answer is. Like it's like very clear in my brain, like what's a good opportunity, what's not a good opportunity. But it's because I'm in a place of tranquility, so I can even hear my inner voice. So I can even hear the guidance. So it's all about aligned action. It's not about busy work. And you would be surprised how much time we spend on busy work. That really doesn't get us anywhere. I'd say probably 90% of our days are just busy work. Now, step 8 of the 9, we're getting there, you guys. Decluttering, shedding, and releasing. This was actually kind of really interesting, because I think that a lot of the times, like the traditional way in business is like, how can I get more into my body, into my vessel, to optimize my performance? Meaning, do I need another degree? Do I need to read another book? What else? Do I need to take a course? Like, what else can I take to better myself? I found that actually the process of shedding is a lot more aligning than the process of accumulating. So the less I'm focused on accumulating and the more I'm focused on decluttering, shedding, releasing, the lighter I become. And it's almost like a runner that's doing a sprint. Like you need to be lean instead of like have all these backpacks. So once you release all of that stuff of like negative programming and whatnot, all of the things, all of the illusions of how things are supposed to go, all of the expectations, the running becomes very easy. And so this process of shedding, decluttering, and releasing is something that I do all the time. It can be simple and very physical activity, like literally, what have I accumulated in terms of physical possessions that I need to give away or get rid of? Like, it starts there. Then it's shedding beliefs, like is my mental body overworked? It's shedding some feelings, like some discomfort. It's all of the process of shedding. There's another thing, just kind of funny. You know how like when your world is full, nothing new can come through? It's kind of like, again, one of those very obvious things. I feel like it's, like on Instagram, as you're scrolling your feed, there is like, nothing can come to a full, like the cup that's already full or something like that. It feels like a little quote from Instagram. One of the harder lessons to learn for me, I was resisting with my guides. I was like, no, don't make me do this. Was this. This is a quote, I'm reading it. Let go of the small money to get to the big money. And I was like, what do you mean? So we had certain lines of business that I was holding on to because those were my babies. One of those lines of businesses was a makeup brand. And you guys, I've been loving makeup. I've loved makeup since I was a little girl. Can you tell? Like literally stealing my mom's lipstick was like my favorite pastime when I was like 2 years old, and like painting with it, including on myself. And like one of the lines of business that we had that was completely losing money and not successful was the makeup business. And I was putting a lot of resources into that. And my guides were like, you should drop this. So in other words, the lesson here is we should all sometimes get off the dead horse, because like the dead horse is not carrying you anywhere. And for me, it was a hard lesson to learn, because I'm too persistent and I'm very good at persevering, and I'm extremely good at surviving. And so for me, dropping something is like, no, I can carry this. You kidding? I got this. It's okay. I can work three more hours a day. It's fine. I like makeup. It's okay. No worries. And then I realized that, I was essentially in my own way. And I had to really trust that, sometimes to let go of the small money, new opportunities could come. And so I did this process of shedding and releasing all of the small money. And when I did that, there was a process that I would call the vacuum, like a month or two, where nothing was happening. And it was super uncomfortable for me, because I was like, nothing's changing. I give up the little money. The big money is not coming. So what do you want me to do, guys? Like, you have to own up to like what you told me was going to happen. The thing is, the outer flow moves slow. It's a feminine energy. Feminine energies move slow. Masculine energies move fast. So if you do what's right for you and then you expect an immediate result, you're going to be very, very disappointed. And so I had to wait up 2 months for this full shedding in my auric fields to take place, so that makes sense. And so my body was like full on shedding, like that business and like my involvement in it. And honestly, my hopes and dreams of that one day becoming a very big company, which was like a big attachment to me. Like, it was like a baby. You're like, how do you give up a baby? I don't know. And so I was going through this process of shedding and releasing. It was not easy. And I was like catching myself wanting to go back. And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I go back. Maybe I go back for the little money. And my guys are like, no, Mariya, just hold on, please. And then from there, we were able to, that's kind of like, after that little vacuum is when essentially I didn't end up going back for the small money. And that's how we got an offer to purchase this other company that ended up being, a pretty big revenue driver, like way bigger than the makeup company could have ever been. And I realized that A, Mariya always needs to listen to her guides, and B, when your vessel is too full, including in the money sense, like in other words, how does this relate to you? Like you may not, be an entrepreneur that has like 17 different brands. Like, I don't have 17, but I have like 6 or 7. So like there's, even in my business world, I'm like doing all of these things. I have definitely, it's like, this is how you can apply it to yourself. If you have like different ways that you make money, I don't know, like you have a little bit of an Etsy shop and you have your full-time job and you coach tennis on weekends. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up clearly. If you have all of these like little income streams, and like, you know, how at one point all of these books said like, you need passive income in order to get rich. You need passive income. You guys, you don't need just passive income. Just passive income is not going to cut it. You need to know how to split your resource, how to optimize your energy is what you need to know. Because passive income that gets you $50 a month, but takes away a ton of work is not getting you anywhere. And so, you know, if I were you, I would re-examine your income sources. And I would look at what are the things that are kind of harder to carry as much as they may be beloved for you. Like maybe it's like a passion project. And I don't know why I keep going to an Etsy shop. I'm like, maybe somebody who's watching, they need to give up an Etsy shop because I'm always connecting to the collective. But look at all of the income streams that you have and like cut out the bottom 10% or the bottom 20%. And you would notice that through doing that, the universe is going to give you something better. Yes, there is one other concept that I'm going to teach during Thrive. It's called the law of the 10%. Essentially, every month or so, we go through a process of shedding. And it's quite natural. Technically, it's a lunar cycle, if we're being completely honest. But we can call it a month. And 10% of our energies every month are being excavated out of our system, and another 10% come. There's no, you know, and that's how essentially the matrix or the simulation maintains this illusion of change. And not illusion, but like that. That's how we always feel like everything is different about our lives, or like we're not standing still. Even when we feel stuck, like it still feels like something is changing. This law of the 10% though, like in the ideal world, you would be releasing the worst 10% of energies and you would be getting in the best 10% of energies. But either way, the whole point of this is that you're going to cycle through your energy anyway. Like some energy is going to leave and some energy is going to get attracted back to you. How does the universe decide what to give you and what to take away? It's based on your frequency of your vibration, essentially. So starting with your thoughts. So if you're thinking positive thoughts, what the universe is going to take away are the bottom 10%. Like for instance, if I'm thinking every day, I am love, that's a positive thought. The universe is going to rearrange all of my thought frequencies on a scale. The things that are going to be closest to I am love in my field that have been gathering there for years, the universe is going to keep, because based on the clusterization principle or the law of attraction, one and the same thing, I am what I attract what I vibrate at. And so essentially, the universe is going to keep all of the energies around the I am love very close, and then it's going to rank everything else that I'm thinking. And the thoughts that are going to be the furthest removed away from love frequency are going to be excavated from my system. Now, what that does is that creates 10% space in my container, because my container is 10% empty. What is the universe going to give me? The universe is going to give me what I am a vibrational match to in terms of people, circumstances, and events. So what it's going to give me back into my life are energies and frequencies that are vibrating at this love. That are vibrating at the frequency of love, because that's what I've been thinking. Does that make sense? So I don't know if this is like a good example or a bad example, but like if you are committed to your vision, if you have a big vision, right? Giving up the small money is like giving up the bottom 10% of your earnings. What that does create is a space. In that space, you're going to feel uncomfortable. A part of you is going to want to cling and go back to like the little money that you were making. The problem is you're going to be in your own way, because when your container is full, the universe cannot give you more things for your earning potential to go up. So my point is always go back to your vision, the big vision. And if you're truly committed to making more and more money, then you're going to have to start letting some things go, including certain weird income streams. I hope that makes sense. Step 9 is a North Star. Essentially, the North Star is the same thing as the vision. And like I said, if I had it my way, people would be doing vision boards for the 10-year period, and then they would do like the little ones year over year, because I think our long-term visions are actually what's important. It's the long-term visions that really work with the flow and really interact with the flow and manage the flow. Here's kind of like almost how to think about it. Our long-term vision is a North Star, right? Like it's just like a beacon of light. The flow is going to follow that light, right? So it's like our feminine energies and the feminine energies of the universe tend to follow the masculine energies. And so if we very much solidify our vision, this is what I'm committed to, this is the kind of person I want to be, this is, you know, what I want to have in terms of material things, etc., etc. And we really make that very clear. And I mean, like, you have to make it clear though. Then the flow is eventually going to rearrange itself, because not only you are going to be watching your North Star, the outer flow of Mother Earth is also going to watch that North Star and eventually going to lead you there. I hope that makes sense. You guys, I wanted to see if you have any questions based on the things that I have told you about. If, you know, I was planning on taking notes, but as you know, my whole mirror situation did not help. So I just wanted to make sure that whatever I was telling you about made sense. And also, if you don't have any questions, if you don't mind dropping in the comments, what was your biggest insight from today? Like, of, you know, I've been talking for about an hour and a half. If you could tell me, like, what is the number one takeaway? Like, what is the thing that you're going to take and run with? Like, what is it that you're going to implement? And I really would love to hear that. Thank you guys. Thank you for all the little capacity. Yes, capacity is major. Somebody's saying, can you please save this life? Yes, I will save the life, and you can watch me struggle with technology one more time. Or as many times as you guys want. We will save this. Opening up the flow in me, yes. The inner flow is big, you guys. And it's also one of those things that no matter how much you unlock the inner potential, there's still more. I feel like no matter how much I work on my inner flow, there's still more things to unpack, because we're all developing. Like, we're this golden spirals, and we're always evolving, and there's always more energy that becomes available to us. Because if you work through a block, the universe is like, oh, like your higher self, you're like, oh, she's cool, like let's give her more blocked energy to like release. And so essentially you would notice that everything is just you know, growing exponentially because your energy is improving. Declaration, somebody said, they're walking with declaration. Yes, you declare everything is positive. Works like freaking magic. You can turn any seemingly negative circumstance around by just saying, you know what, that was a great thing. Oh my God, in fact, that was the best thing that ever happened to me, that my Tesla just drowned. And yeah, the law of the 10% somebody resonated with. I love that. Yes. The law of the 10% is actually from my, well, I don't know when I'm going to be done with that book, probably 2028. But that's the book that I'm channeling from the architect of the Matrix. Well, he calls it the network. He doesn't like the word the Matrix, but okay. And it's essentially like Hermetic principles updated. And like, that's going to be like one of the coolest books I'm probably going to channel in some time. So, you know, some of the things that he's been sharing with me have blown me away. And I'm like, I must make them, like, I must like bring them to the people. And so there's going to be a whole section actually in Thrive, where like I cherry picked some of the laws, not all 22, because that's like, I think in and of itself a 7-day studying journey, a 7-day quest. But I will be teaching more laws from that book and from that channeling around how the Matrix works. Get clear and trust. You guys, you want to hear something funny? Okay, silly example, like I'm laughing at myself around getting clarity. I forgot to tell you. So I was doing my vision board, and I put this thing that said #1 Amazon bestseller. What I meant was that one day I would like for my book, Rose Codes, to be the Amazon bestseller. Now, of course, I didn't specify. I just put like the little picture of like the Amazon bestseller. And I didn't say like my book, Rose Codes, is an Amazon bestseller. And so we became an Amazon bestseller, but not in my spiritual business. I became an Amazon, you know, one of our products became an Amazon bestseller in its respective category. And when I was like looking at that, I'm like, oh my God, I should have been more clear. Because flow does not have, like, if the flow is not clear around what you're manifesting, it's gonna give you what it thinks you need, right? And sometimes you may be manifesting the wrong things, but lesson learned, and you don't have to repeat my mistakes, and you can do better than me. 10-year vision board, truly love those. Like a big long-term vision. You know how they say most people really overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 10? It's because as human beings, we're not really wired for long-term planning. Even at corporate level, it's really hard to plan more than 5 years ahead. But the thing is, though, we have so much life force, and especially if you tap, into all of that dormant potential with your inner flow, and remove all of those blockages, you have so much life force internally and externally at your disposal to help work on your 10-year goal or 10-year vision, that it's almost like a crime to not put that on paper somewhere, or to not at least in your head get clarity. Because whether you realize this or not, you're always actively manifesting. Now you could be manifesting something amazing or something that's less optimal, but I really love that 10-year plan. Does not mean you don't do like a little vision board every year. And since I figured out that I'm like a pretty powerful passive manifester, I'm certainly going to do like a vision board every single chance I get from this day forward, because like it's a beautiful tool. Yeah. Somebody says, I love that the universe doesn't decide what you want, it just gives. Yes, 100%. Will we be working on the vision board in Thrive? Yes. So what I wanted to give you is exercises. That's the third day, the manifestation day. We're not going to be doing the vision board at the during the actual program. You're going to be doing it prior to it. So if you're attending Thrive, you may already start working on your vision board. Whether for 10 years or just like if you want to do something a little bit more short term, start working on that now. Because what I'm going to give you on the third weekend, which is January 28th, I think, like that last weekend in January, I think, the last weekend of the program, we're going to be working on manifestation, passive manifestation and active manifestation. Passive manifestation is manifesting from your feminine energies with the flow, the outer flow, this guy. Active manifestation is when you're doing practices and you're manifesting with your masculine energies. Life is a hybrid. I use everything. I use all types of manifestation techniques. And so how I wanted to work with your vision boards is to give you exercises on how to power up your personal vision board, and specifically the things on that board that you really, really want, to make them happen faster, because we can accelerate things. In other words, we're going to rely on this outer flow to bring things to you, but we're going to use active manifestation techniques to accelerate and shrink the timelines. So you don't have to wait for 10 years. So you can get things like quick. Yes, glad you asked. Yes. Did you guys have any, if you are on the fence about Thrive, can you just drop a couple of questions for me? Anything I can make more clear to you? One thing I'll tell you, that if you liked what you heard today, and if you have been getting insights, this is like a very small percentage of what I'm going to share on Thrive. And I think of the 36 keys plus that we're going to go through, I maybe gave you like 3 and not even in a great depth. And again, the whole point about Thrive is that we actually get to clear your blockages. It's not just, you're not going to just like, listen to a pretty story. You're going to actually get the tools to help you move out of the stuck place. And we are going to work on increasing your capacity. We are going to work on, what is that, what are the things that are blocking your inner flow? So we're going to do all of that. Yes, so excited. What is the name of my books? I have 2. One is called 72 Keys to Manifestation, or An Ancient Path of a Modern Day Alchemist. And one is called The Rose Codes, Book of Initiations. The Rose Codes is about the divine feminine, which actually ironically does help with flow. Because anytime you're working on your feminine energies, you will increase your capacity to receive. What is the Thrive payment plan? I know PayPal has 4 installments. I believe, Sergey, please let me know, in the comments here if you remember what the payment plan is. I believe it's as low as $77 per month that you can have a payment plan for. Will we do ancestral healing? Yes. It's not going to be 3 days of ancestral healing. However, during the abundance and the money, the first 2 days, we're going to do a lot of ancestral stuff, just because I could not possibly get you to the results that I want to get you to without addressing them. It's like walking into a dirty house and pretending we don't need to wash the floors to invite the guests over. Like that's kind of like that. That's how I think about it. So yes, there will be some ancestral healing. I do have a whole separate ancestral workshop though, if you want to dive deeper on my website. Sergey, if you don't mind, also somebody's asking to drop the links to the books. I don't know if you're still watching. Yeah. Because somebody wants to, but I know that you know, there are links in bio, so you can look at my link in bio and get all the books. Do you teach meditation, manifestation, cleansing energies and blocks? Is that shadow work? When I teach manifestation, I tell you how to remove blocks, for sure. Is that shadow work? Yes, to a degree, yes. Now, when we remove things as a group, I use way more sophisticated techniques than the shadow work technique that I shared with you guys, because we're trying to clear more than one at a time. When I work with a group, you know, sometimes we can clean like 30 parts in a span of 15 minutes, because it's the energy of the group helps amplify everything. When I hold space, so many beings of light show up, and they're all helping me from upstairs. So there's going to be a lot of angelics, a lot of galactics, a lot of, you know, different beings from Mother Earth as well. And all of them are working with a group. Of course, we're all protected, and it's all, you know, in your highest good, but just, you know, it's a very powerful space. Past life healing. Yeah, that's going to come up during Thrive. To a degree though, we're not going to do past life regressions. However, I usually do group readings during my workshops, and there's always past life stuff that comes up, and I always share that with people. What is shadow work? Is a trauma that's stuck to our body? Yeah, pretty much. Like, it's all of the parts, like it's all of the traumatic experiences that you've had in past lives that created wounded parts within you, that essentially become part of the great unconscious. So in your subconscious, there are all of these shadow parts that are wounded in some way, that determine how you live and how you act, and you don't even know that. Like, for instance, all phobias are like past life, probably the ways that you were killed in a past life, or a way you got traumatized. But you're just like, I'm randomly afraid of heights. You're not randomly afraid of anything. Your soul remembers all the ways that you died. And so like shadow work certainly helps. Is there a maximum number of people for Thrive? No, but you know, like so far it's a nice size group. It's not too small, it's not too big, it's always perfect. But no, I'm not putting like a cap on how many people can attend. Somebody's asking, do you teach how to clean the throat chakra? I have a throat chakra healing workshop, so yes. And it's, you know, it's very well loved by my community. So I think you would love that if you took it. Did your higher self tell you their name? Yes, the thing is, your higher self has, you know how like, they have probably like 10,000 names that they go by. So your higher self always gives you one. My higher self gave me like a few, for sure. Cool. All right, my darlings. Sergey, somebody's asking for the link for the throat chakra workshop. I don't know if you have time to put it. Oh, my poor husband has to, you know, hang out. Instead of, you know, resting, he gets to hang out and provide links for you guys. How fun is it to be my husband? All right, my darlings. I hope this was helpful. It is my great intention that you have some really good takeaways from our time together, that you could start implementing in your life. If you want more of this, and I mean not just like 10 times more, but like if you want way more structured content, and if you want all the healing to go with it, so that I could take you from where you are today to thriving, I do hope to see you on Saturday. literally, I said it once, but I'm gonna say it again. It is the coolest program that I've ever created. It took me a year to be ready. Like, I knew I was gonna have to teach Thrive a year ago. And I told my guides, hell no, I'm not ready. And they're like, okay, we're gonna wait till you're ready. I'm ready now. Like, I'm ready energetically, emotionally, mentally, and I have all of the keys that you guys need. So I do hope that you consider joining me. If this resonated, we're gonna put like a recording. You can rewatch some of this. If this resonated, you can send it to your friends, because even if they don't attend Thrive, I'm pretty sure there's at least a few things, like a few quick takeaways that they could take from this and apply in whatever else they're doing. I don't know. You see, guys, I'm like I'm not sure how I just got fireworks. Maybe it was Sergey that did that. All right, if you are already coming to Thrive, I could not be more excited. It's gonna blow your mind, I promise you. Sending you so much love, guys. All of the hearts. Stay safe, stay thriving, and if you're not thriving, come see me on Saturday. And the link is in bio and on my website, thisismariya.com. So much love for you wherever you are in this world. And yeah, I will see you soon. Bye, darlings. Bye. Thrive, yes, one more time, the link, but thank you guys all so much. Bye.